What's going on, Savages? CJ here, and today I want to talk to you about why the fuck you should be tracking your scale weight, or specifically why you should just be keeping track of objective data on your fat loss journey. What up, Savages? CJ here. And so today we're going to be talking about tracking your results and why I personally have found a ton of success in it. And I think you really need to stop avoiding your scale weight and actually create a healthy relationship with it instead. So first things first, I want to get this out of the way. It is important to us here at Savage Coaching that you understand we are not just doing things to pick up coaching clients, to get your business or get you to buy some merch or something. Though, yes, we have a business. We want to grow the brand. We definitely want you to get things if you feel like you want something, but it's more important to us that we actually just provide you with tangible information that you can take away every single day. That every time we put up a video, we want to make sure either we made you laugh, we're not asking anything from you, or we gave you some sort of information that is going to help you on your journey that you can take away. So this is not an upsell. We're not like, going to leave you hanging and you got to enter your email or some shit like that. Rather, whether you have a trainer right now with us or nobody or somebody else, we want to be able to give you a piece of advice that I think you can leave here with and actually use to your advantage. So let's talk about tracking your results. Let's face it, all right, there's a lot of people out there that have an unhealthy relationship with the scale. I hear it all the time. Damn near every freaking weight loss client that I get pushback whenever I say, hey, I need you to step on the scale regularly. Now, the reason for this, I do have empathy for, right? I'm not trying to be a total dick here. I do understand why people are emotionally attached to scale weight, okay? It makes you feel a certain way. If you don't see that number changing, it can be frustrating. I get it. But here's the problem. And first things first, I don't want to appeal just to my subjective opinion or my experience. I want to appeal to data if ever possible. And there are some correlation studies of long-term fat loss success in some of the most successful clients where they found a similarity or a few similarities that they shared. And one of those was keeping track of their scale weight regularly. Now, more than likely the reason is, and I'm not saying you should always take a correlation study for, the end all be all, but one of the reasons is probably because something out of sight, out of mind, it's too easy to put off, right? It's too easy to distance yourself enough to where all of a sudden you look up 6 months down the road and you're like, how the fuck did I get here? How did I, end up so out of shape or overweight or whatever it may be, because you're just unaware. So on one hand, it acutely protected you, but also avoiding that really catches up to you in the long run. And eventually, everybody's got to face the truth, okay? You can only walk past the mirror and not look so many times, and eventually that reflection is going to show up. So our suggestion is to make sure that you are actually tracking your results, and one of those ways is going to be on the scale. So again, data-wise and in my experience with clients, I've seen tons of success with this, but it does take some finessing. First things first, you have got to find a good, responsible relationship with this number. You got to, number one, realize that it is not, does not define you. It is a relative number. It doesn't mean anything good or bad. It's just a particular starting point or where you particularly are. But it is some sort of closer objective data than your just opinion of yourself, right? I'm not saying, again, that scale's influenced by all kinds of things. We get that. But it's definitely better than feel this way today or I feel this way tomorrow. So wherever your starting point, it's irrelevant, okay? So find a healthy relationship with that. Now, from there, I recommend my clients actually step on the scale almost every single day in the beginning. My reason behind this is not because I think they should have to, but number one, it gets them in a routine and a habit of actually doing that, so they get used to tracking their results, which is just a good habit to have in the forefront of your mind. And also, those that are having a hard time maybe finding that healthy relationship with the scale, though it's challenging, it kind of like forces you into the mindset of having to really find a better relationship with it. Like you don't have a choice. You're seeing it every day, but you have this kind of third party that's making sure that you're not going off the rails and you're not like freaking out just because the scale's up. You have some reassurance on a third party level. So if you are doing this on your own, I would recommend at least surrounding yourself with a few people that are more level-headed outside of your own personal opinion. But stepping on the scale every single day is just a good routine and a good method to have. Now, what you have to realize is that day to day, this number being influenced doesn't really mean a whole lot, because as we know, the primary thing we're made up of, fluid, it could change whether you're on your period, ladies, Guys, you had a few beers the night before, you had too much to drink or too little to drink, or it's hot outside or cold outside. All these things can actually influence acute total weight. But whenever we look at, say, 7 days consistently or 14 days consistently, now we can at least kind of have a bead on collectively what's happening. So even though there's these ups and downs, we can look start to finish and say, all right, we are trending in the right direction, be it slow or fast or whatever, right? So stepping on the scale regularly is highly recommended. I also think that you should have a digital scale. I hate that I even have to say this, but there's some of you motherfuckers that are using this dial, okay, and you're trying to like eyeball like where the dial is. That's ridiculous. And believe it or not, sometimes the scale is influenced by point something pounds, and that is the 7 and 14 day, and that does matter, okay? That does account for something. And so having a digital scale that is incredibly cheap, really recommend that, okay? So do that. The next thing is that I would highly recommend you track your tape measurements, so circumference measurement. It's very cheap to do something like this. All you have to do is literally go get one of these tape measures and like a sewing kit. And most of you guys probably have it at home. Order one on Amazon for $5 or $3, get it on Prime, right? So get a tape measurement and actually find some circumference measurements, maybe shoulders, neck, arms, waistline, your thighs, find some data points and actually measure these maybe on a weekly basis. I probably wouldn't do it every single day, but week to week, that's an extra little spot to put on our calculations so we can compare these to one another and see if maybe one's not moving but the other one did. We also would recommend that you take pictures. So though I know a lot of you on a weight loss journey are uncomfortable with seeing yourself in the buff necessarily, and I get that, but the truth is that there's something to be said about actually taking a picture of yourself in the same lighting, in the same consistency, in the same part of your house, and then doing it again the next week or maybe later that month and comparing them side by side. Because I don't know how many times I have had clients that think, like, I feel fat right now. I feel like I'm not getting any results. I feel. And then we compare their pictures, they're like, holy shit, look, I didn't even recognize. Truth is, we're bad at gauging ourselves, guys. I mean, that's the truth. We either over or underestimate ourselves. And you notice this, let's say you have a spouse and you see them every single day. Maybe they're going through some changes and you just didn't recognize it because you see them every day. It's easy to get numb to that, but you go somewhere and a friend's like, holy shit, man, you've changed a lot. And guys, it's where you feel guilty. You're like, oh shit, I should have noticed that. But it's natural, okay? This is human beings. And so taking a picture gives us that far back look at it that we can reference to. Last thing would be body fat percentage. Now look, this is my least favorite one to track, but it definitely is reasonable to do so if I think that you consider, again, the validity and the consistency like we did with the scale weight. So what I mean by that is a lot of people, first of all, they just don't really fully understand, body composition or body fat testing. And so, they go to maybe do an in-body test at a Total Nutrition or something, which is like a fancy BIA, or they go and do DEXA scans or bod pods and things like that. And I'm not saying, look, I love DEXA scans. I think it's fucking cool as shit to see that kind of data. However, most of the time, these things are done inconsistently, I should say. And I don't have a lot of time to edit this, so you're just gonna get that. No, we're not cutting that out. But what I mean is, like, let's say you go in on a Wednesday to Total Nutrition and you see your body fat percentage in the middle of the day on a Wednesday, and then the next week you go in on Tuesday morning, and then the next week it's Friday later. In the time in between these, what you ate before, whether you didn't eat, what was hot outside, all these variables play a role in whether or not that BIA is actually going to be efficient, because it's heavily influenced by fluid, just like the scale is. And actually every one of these body fat testing things, even though some are arguably more accurate than others, they're all inconsistent to some level, including the DEXA scan. And so here's my suggestion. If you do the body fat, I would recommend that you go online, and I know this may sound taboo. Some people are like, oh, these things aren't accurate. It doesn't matter. It's not about completely the accuracy, it's about the consistency. We want validity and consistency. So go online, go to Amazon, and actually pick up one of these Omron handheld BIAs, bioelectrical impedance analysis. It essentially measures body fat by considering fluid. And what I would do is I would literally put this thing right next to your fucking scale. You can get the one you step on with the handheld, or just a handheld if you want to save money. Either way, set up your profile, keep it the same, use the same stats in there, the same setup and the same profile, profile and do it in the mornings when you take your scale weight and actually log that data point. So you're basically now not considering it day by day, but looking at it week by week, month by month. And it just adds an extra one. So we've got pictures, we've got scale weight, we've got body fat percentage, and we got tape measurements. So with all four of these, we can have a really tight bead on whether or not we're seeing progress that's independent of our opinions or maybe our shitty spouse's opinion. We've got to be able to track this more objectively. And so I think this is something that a lot of people avoid out of fear of defining themselves or getting discouraged, when really, statistically and in my experience, we see the most success with people that actually, find a healthy relationship with it and they track this. Here's the thing, guys. I am basically telling you what we do as trainers. When you sign up here at Savage Coaching, essentially what we do is we implement a training program, we implement a diet protocol, and then we track your results as objectively as we can. We try to limit as many variables as possible. We put the numbers on a scale, and then we graph them, and then we say, all right, Susie is making changes or she's not, and is it reasonable based off of this data that we actually change something, we tweak a dial, and then we go from there, and then we watch again. So, even if you're doing this on your own, this literally is how the game is played. And so I would highly recommend getting a tighter look at what your progress is, and so that you can keep yourself going, you don't get stuck in some sort of plateau. That's it, guys. That's it for this video. We're going to try to keep this stuff consistent. Got a lot of build out that's been going on in Savage Coaching, so bear with us. There's only a few of us, and so making content and editing, and then all the back end stuff and the program, there's way too much to do and little help to actually get it all done. So some of these videos are maybe more edited, some are not. Bear with us. We love you guys. Subscribe to the channel if you're here on YouTube or wherever you might be, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.